Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to Chef Vic Cuisine. Today, we're making crepes or crepes, depending on where you're from. Super light and super customizable, crepes are an amazing breakfast option that's super easy to make, and you can flavor them however you want with your favorite toppings. So, let's get started. Alright, so for the ingredients, we're going to need 1 cup of all-purpose flour, half a teaspoon of salt, 2 large eggs, 1 1/4 cup of 2% milk, then just a dash of vanilla extract, and finally 2 tablespoons of melted butter, plus some additional for cooking. Alright, so to get things started, in a medium-sized bowl, we want to sift the flour through a fine mesh sieve and combine the flour and the salt together with a whisk. And I like to double sift the flour and the salt just to make sure that it's really fine. It helps your crepe turn out really smooth and avoids any lumps in the batter. So definitely don't skip out on the sifting process. And so now in a separate small-sized bowl, we want to whisk together the 2 eggs, the milk, and the vanilla extract. You just want to whisk that until it's all well combined. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell icon to be notified when my next video drops. And stay tuned until the end of this video for a sneak peek of the recipe coming next week. And so now you want to pour the wet ingredients into the bowl with the dry ingredients. And you want to do this about 1/4 at a time, whisking together the dry and the wet ingredients until they're smooth. And with each pour of the wet into the dry, your batter becomes smoother and more easily managed. And so after the last portion of the wet ingredients are added to the dry and you whisk that together, you can see you have no lumps in the batter. And it would be at this stage where you can pour in the melted butter into the crepe batter and whisk that until it's all well combined. And with that, now you have a silky smooth batter, but you have to let this batter rest before using it to make the crepes. And so what we're going to do is cover the crepe batter with plastic wrap and place it in the fridge for at least 1 hour or up to overnight if you're planning on making these the next day. And so once the crepe batter has time to rest, we're now ready to move on to cooking the crepes. So you want to heat a large frying pan or a crepe pan over medium heat, which is 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 176 degrees Celsius. So for this first crepe, I'm going to show you how to use normal crepe tools to form the crepe properly. But following that, I'm going to show you a really easy way to ensure you have nice crepes each time if you don't have a crepe tool available to you. And you want to grease the pan with additional melted butter, and once the pan is hot, you can pour in about 1/4 cup's worth of the crepe batter. And for the first crepe tool, I like using a beechwood spreader, and then all you need to do is coat the spreader with some additional melted butter so that the batter won't stick to it. And then in a clockwise or counterclockwise motion, you just want to spin the spreader at the center of the batter just to fan out the batter into a thin, wide circle. And it's at that point where you can take your crepe spreader and put it back into a bowl of water to remove any excess batter. And that way it's ready to be used for your next one. You want to allow this side of the crepe to cook for about 30 seconds to a minute, or until the top is set. And then once that time has passed, you want to flip the crepe using a spatula and your hands, or you can use 2 spatulas. I like to use 2 spatulas, one being a beechwood spatula. It really helps to remove the crepe from the hot pan. You just want to be careful as you're peeling the crepe away from the surface of the pan, just so you don't have any rips in the crepe. And so once the crepe is flipped, you just want to allow the other side of the crepe to cook for an additional 30 seconds. and it will be at this stage where your crepe is done, and you can remove it from the hot pan and set it on a serving platter. And then you just want to repeat the same process for the remaining batter. Always making sure that you coat the pan with melted butter before starting. And now for, in my opinion, a much easier way to make the crepes instead of using crepe tools is to grab a hold of the pan, and then as you pour in the batter, you just want to quickly rotate the pan so that the batter is allowed to spread evenly over the entire cooking surface. And so you just want to keep an eye on the pan as you rotate, just to try to form as best of a circle as you can. This batter sets pretty quickly, so you want to rotate it as soon as you pour the batter onto the pan. And then once the batter is set, which would normally take about 30 seconds to 1 minute on the first side, you just want to take your 2 spatulas to carefully peel the crepe from the pan, flip it, and then allow the other side to cook for 30 more seconds. And then that crepe will be done. You can remove it from the hot pan, and then I just use this second technique to make the remaining crepes with the rest of the batter. And with this recipe, depending on the size of the crepes you make, you can create about 7 to 10 crepes. Definitely more than enough for a family to enjoy. And the one thing I really like about crepes is the plethora of options you have as far as what you want them to ultimately taste like. So for this recipe, I'm going to show you a more fresh and nutritious option. So you definitely want to go with like some freshly cut fruit. But if you're craving a sweet fix, you can always add chocolate or caramel or Nutella syrup to the dish. And you can even use crepes in a savory meal option as well. So now that all the crepes have been made, I want to show you my preference on how to present them. So what I like to do is take the crepe and then fold it in half, and then once it's folded, take the outer edges and fold them together as well. And in that way, you have this triangular shaped crepe, pretty much just like folding a napkin. And I repeat this for all the remaining crepes, and I place them all on a serving platter, and then depending on what type of flavor I want for the crepes, I add the appropriate toppings. And so with this crepe, I'm going to go with some fresh fruit. And so what I like to use is strawberries, blueberries, and raspberries. So for the strawberries, I just like to cut them into smaller portions. So I always cut them along the length of the strawberry into thin slices. And with the raspberries and blueberries, I just like to layer them throughout a serving plate. So for the final plating, I like to add a dollop of whipped cream onto each crepe. And then I place a slice of strawberry onto each dollop of whipped cream. And then I just like to layer in the remaining fruit throughout the plate. And then once you feel like you have enough fruit on the plate, the crepes are ready to be served. And for an extra touch of sweetness, I always like to add some sifted powdered sugar over the tops of all the crepes. And just like that, you've made your very own crepes right at home. Like I said earlier, there are so many options you have when creating crepes. They're a really easy breakfast option to make, and I really hope you give this recipe a try. As always, this recipe and many more can be found in my cookbook, Chef Vic Cuisine Volume 2, Elevating Your Inner Chef. And that's available on Amazon, and I'll be sure to leave a link to that in the description box. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell icon to be notified when my next video drops. And stay tuned for next week, where I show you one of my Volume 1 recipes, mulled wine, just in time for the fall season. Well, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next week on another episode of Chef Vic Cuisine, and until then, peace.